The biggest mistake I see freelancers make daily is to act like a solo worker as opposed to think like a business. I did exactly this when I first went freelance, and it's only after I shifted my own mindset did my freelancer career really take off, and most importantly, I actually really started to enjoy it. In this video, I've broken down 5 key steps that you can start taking today that will help you shift towards more of a business thought process. So let's get into it. First theme is around feedback and taking things to heart, whether it's a strongly worded email, negative comments on your social media when you're trying to build a personal brand, or even people ghosting you after you've sent what you think is an absolute killer proposal. However, it is absolutely essential that we remember that this is not unique to freelancers. It happens to every business around the globe. But as soon as we allow emotion to connect to business situations, we immediately cloud our judgment and we cannot make good decisions. If you take the business mindset of separating yourself from these situations, then you get back clarity and you get back the ability to see these tricky situations as learning curves, which is essential to personal growth. And if you can do that, and introspectively look and say, well, could I have done something better in this situation? Could I have presented something a bit better? Even if you don't wholeheartedly agree with the feedback, if you still take that opportunity to self-reflect and understand where that person was coming from, you give yourself the best chance to learn from that situation and grow. Then the next step you take will be with more resilience, more intention, and you'll put processes in place for when it happens again, and it will happen again, so that you can make decisions quickly and move on. Setting and sticking to really clear boundaries is something we're inherently very bad at as freelancers. It can feel pretty scary. Like setting strong boundaries can feel like, will I lose that client? If I say no to the project, does that mean the opportunity is over? However, if you don't do it, you put yourself in a very good position for a one-way ticket to burnout. If you look at it contrastly to how your businesses and your clients that you're working for operate, they set boundaries all the time, whether that be payment terms, whether that be delivery dates, whether that be working environments for their staff, whatever it might be, all they're doing is setting boundaries constantly. A really nice way to precursor and set strong boundaries is to frame it that it's the best thing for the client. I've used phrases such as, in order for me to do the best possible job, it's really important for me to have work-life separation. So with that in mind, I choose to work between X, Y, and Z. And if you want to email me out of those times, you are more than welcome, but you can expect a reply between 9 and 5 or whatever your chosen working environment is. That way, clients know that you take yourself seriously and that you're actually trying to put these frameworks in place that behave like a business and actually probably fall more in line with how they work too, so that from the start of your engagement, you're both on the same page. It won't lose you clients. If it does, they're not the kind of clients that you want to be working for in the first place. What it does do is set out a really strong relationship from day one, enables you to rest and reset properly in your downtime, helps you prevent stuff like burnout, and means that you do get a work-life separation, which can often be very tricky as a freelancer. It's really easy as freelancers for us to get sucked into focusing purely on delivering the projects that we have in our pipeline and not having our eyes up and looking at the market as a whole. However, if you shift your mindset and see yourself as a marketable product, you help mitigate some of the scarier bits of freelancing, like big gaps between projects. It's hard. It's really laborious, and it's definitely an element of freelancer life that isn't that fun, because it often comes with things like cold sales outreach, networking, tapping up your LinkedIn profile and your network, etc. However, if you do take that business mindset with marketing, then you will put yourself significantly ahead of a lot of the competition. There are a heck of a lot of freelancers that don't invest in this area. They rely heavily on referrals, which is great. However, at some point in time, they will dry up. So to make sure that you've got your fingers in plenty of pies and you're spreading your risk so that if a client does drop out, it's not the end of the world, investing in your marketing strategy for yourself, like a business would, is absolutely essential. Keeping up to date with trends and industry developments is a heck of a lot easier when you're employed, because we take for granted how much we grow personally when we're part of a team, just naturally by osmosis. When everyone else is doing a similar thing, you're naturally always talking to each other and you're naturally always learning from each other. That doesn't happen, or it's a privilege we don't have when we go freelance. So it's absolutely essential that you take that business view whereby you integrate R&D and learning into your daily routine as a freelancer. In the business world, they have entire teams and budgets dedicated to R&D most of the time. So as freelancers, whilst we don't need to go the full hog of having an R&D team, it's still really important that we invest that time and actually time block it out for ourselves so that we can stay ahead of the curve. That can be anything. From, in my perspective, even today, I block out time to watch YouTube videos, to listen to podcasts. But whatever your channel choice of learning be, make sure that you integrate it into your daily existence as a freelancer. And most importantly, don't feel guilty about it, because you need to do it. No one's going to do it for you. And when I first started trying to do that when I was a freelancer, and even sometimes today, I do get that air of guilt, because I'm always thinking, well, what else can I be doing? Surely there's marketing I can be doing. Surely there's process I can be working on, etc. However, in the long term, by neglecting that step, I know I'm making myself worse at running interim. And the exact same applies for freelancers. If you take that personal growth step out or feel guilty about it, you're holding yourself back from being the best possible version of a freelancer that you can be. And the fifth and final step that pulls everything together is financial planning. Instead of looking at contract to contract, month to month as a freelancer, if we take the view of a CFO or become our own CFO and look at forecasts, review our rates consistently, look at margins, speak in terminology of profit and loss and balance sheets, etc., we then start to put ourselves in a position to understand what our targets are and how we go about hitting them. What I am categorically not saying is you should set out from day one listening to the six-figure freelancer hustle bros. Do not do that. If you go from naught to, I want to be a six-figure freelancer, you will only set yourself up for misery. However, if you break down your financial targets into smaller steps, like my first paying client, my first month where I've paid my mortgage via freelance work, my first month where I've matched the salary that I had as an employee, the first month that I exceeded my salary as an employee, all of those smaller milestones will naturally compound, and they will naturally start to build up to give you the confidence that you can do freelancing long term from a financial security perspective. By taking that financial view long term, you behave a lot more like a business and a lot less like a bro. And that is the ticket to you leading financial freedom as a really successful freelancer. So if you're really serious about pursuing a career as a freelancer, then check out our 10-step freelancer playbook video. It breaks down some really nice, achievable, simple steps that you can adapt to you and your working practice. And in the meantime, remember, shift that mindset from solo worker to business, and the rest will follow.